Hello everyone, I am Dr. Anindita Rai Choudhury and today I am going to discuss about the data visualization in R basic graphics. In the first part of data visualization, today I am going to discuss about the R basic graphics, which are like R plot, the basic plot function, then R scatter plot, then line plot, then bar plot. Now, the graphics package is used for plotting base graphs in R. A complete list of functions can be obtained by typing library in the function argument. If you type just help equals to graphics, then automatically a list of functions will come to show you what are the available functions are there for plotting graphs. Okay, in demonstration part I will show it. Now coming into the basic plot function, the plot function is a kind of generic function for plotting R objects. We can use this plot function to plot two numbers against each other. Now there are different types of arguments in plot function. One of the important argument is type. If you take the value of type as p, it will just give you the point. If it is type equals to L, it will show the lines. If you want both, then you have to choose, or you have to take the value as B. Okay, so it decides the shape of the output graph, whether you want line graph, whether you want as a point. Okay, depending on the type of argument, it will show you the exact graph. Now, the plot function accepts several other parameters which are very useful. You can see here in this particular R code where I am plotting two vectors. One is X, another is Y. Vector X takes the value from 1 to 10 and vector Y takes the value from 21 to 30. And now I am giving the title of the graph as my graph. So here the parameter for it is main. If I write here main equals to the title which I want to show, then it will show it. Then X lab actually is there to label the horizontal axis. Y lab is there to label the vertical axis. And other parameters are there like PCH. This is the value which takes from 0 to 25. And depending on the value, it at the shape of the point actually will show. Okay, so it defines the shape of the point. And CX is the actually number which changes the size of the points. Okay, and color obviously is to add color to the points. So this is the basic plot function and the parameters which are available. Okay, so we can see here this is the outcome of this particular R code. In demonstration part I will also show it the same thing. Now scatter plot. Scatter plots are the graphs that present the relationship between two variables in a data set. Okay, uh, that means the scatter plot shows how the dependent variable depends on the independent variable. The independent variable is plotted on x-axis while the dependent variable is plotted on the y-axis. And each point on the scatter plot defines the values of the two variables. So this is the scatter plot where x is a vector which takes 1 to 10 and y is actually x square. Okay, so here the value of y is dependent on the value of x. So here we are trying to draw the relationship between x and y using this scatter plot. Okay, using this simple scatter plot. Now another example where we have taken compared to the previous one a difficult one. Here we have taken the readily available data set empty cards. Empty cars, that means motor trend car road test, is a data set with 32 observations on 11 variables. Now, from this data set, we will take two columns and plot the graph. Okay. Now, the two columns or two features which we'll take are the wet, and another will be the mileage, MPG, that means mileage per gallon. So among these two features, we will draw the scatter plot. Now, I will directly jump into the demonstration part in R Studio, where I will show that how to use the basic plot graph, then the scatter plot. Okay. So coming up to the first example or before showing you the first example, the point which I have discussed, that how to show the list of functions available in the graphics package. If you want to see it, then then you have to type library, and in argument, if you type help equals to graphics, then it will show you the list of functions. Like here, box is there, box plot is there, you can see contour, curve, the popularly known hist. Okay. Then different type of actually the functions, like here you can see the plot dot data dot frame is there. Okay. So these are the functions which we can use to show the graph, to draw the graph. Okay. So among these which are displayed here, like the box plot, simply plot, we will try to use the popularly used functions for drawing the graph in R today. So let's start with the basic plot function to draw the graph. Okay. So let's plot our first graph using the basic plot function. Here you can see that we have taken two vectors. Here x and y variables are actually vectors, which the first variable x takes the value 1 to 10, and the second variable y takes the value 21 to 30. So we have used the plot function here to plot the two variables. All the parameters I have already described. So let's run the code and see what is the outcome. So this is the graph we are getting with this R code. You can see here the x-axis is 1 to 10, showing the values, and y-axis, this is 21 to 30. Here we have taken the color as red, and depending on the value of this PCH, the shape actually it determines. The size can be changed using the value here. So if I take the value here like 1, then it will change the size of the point. So if I run again, you will see that here the size actually decreases. Previously it was 2, now it is 1. So this is the basic plot graph. Now the example 2 which I have shown, the empty cars example. So if you want to view the data set empty cars, then the simple syntax is view, then write the name of this data set empty cars. Okay, it will automatically come because this is the readily available. This is an inbuilt data set actually in R. So once you type, you will get the data set. So you can see here there are MPG, then the cycle, then a lot of other number of actually this is cylinders, actually number of cylinders. This is MPG means miles per gallon. This is cylinders. This is the displacement. So these are the several parameters available in this empty cars dataset. So among these 11 features or 11 columns, we will take two. The two are weight, WT, I think it is there, weight, and another is the MPG, that means miles per gallon. So first we will take these two columns among this dataset and then we'll draw the graph. Okay. So this is the actually data set where this is the data set empty cars. Okay, and we will first take the columns weight and miles per gallon, and these two columns we will use for drawing our uh, plot. Okay, so now just run it and you will see this is the graph of these two features, weight versus the mileage. Okay, so now what is the differences between the basic plot and the scatter plot? This thing we have to understand. The scatter plots actually shows the relationship between two variables. One is dependent variables, another is independent variables. So here you can see in our program, if I take the first example, for example, suppose let's take a simple example where you can see here in the first lines that here I have taken 1 to 10 and y I have taken x squared. Okay, so y is the dependent variable on the variable x is the independent variable. So now if I plot these two variables, so if I plot these two variables, then what we will get, let's see. So this is the outcome. Here we can see that the y is the dependent variable and y depends on the independent variable x. So when two variables are actually there are relationship between two variables, so we can show the relationship using scatter plot. Okay, the same thing we did in the example of empty cars where we have shown the relationship between the weight and mileage of empty cars. Okay, so let's take another example of a very popularly known data set, readily available data set, Irish data set. The Irish data set consists of three species. This is actually data set of flower. So it contains three species which are Irish setosa, Irish virginica and Irish versicolor with 50 samples. That means total 150 observations are there. Four features were measured which are sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width. So with these four features actually they are classified into three species. Uh, so we will use this readily available data set to draw the scatter plot and identify the relationship between sepal length and petal length. Okay, so uh, using RStudio, uh, again we will run this particular code. This is the code where we will try to draw the relationship between sepal length and petal length. Okay, so if I run it, then we will get this particular uh, graph where it is showing the relationship between sepal length and petal length. Okay. If you want to show the whole data set Irish, again the same command you can type view, then the data set Irish. Okay, it will show you the uh, whole data in the data set Irish. You can see here 150 entries are there. Okay, so this is all about scatter plot where the relationship between two variables are shown. One is dependent, one is independent. Okay, so moving on to the next type of plot. Okay, before moving on to the next type of plot, one more point I should mention that if instead of taking the individual features like sepal length or petal length, if I take the whole data set as the argument of plot function, what will happen? This is the outcome. I will show you that if I plot the whole Irish data set instead of taking any uh, individual features, then this will come up as a graph. Okay, so what is this? This is actually what we are getting. We are getting a matrix of scatter plot, which is a correlation matrix of all the columns. Okay, all the columns means all the features means the sepal length, sepal width, petal width. Okay, so this is the actually correlation matrix of all the columns. This is very interesting, I think. Okay, so moving on to the next type of plot, which is line plot. Here only if you provide the type as L, it will just show you the line plot. I will show it in demonstration part. And the bar plot is actually like a plot where data is represented in the form of a rectangular bars. Here the height or length of the bars are proportional to the values they represent, and it can be displayed horizontally, vertically, and the function which we use to plot is bar plot function. Okay, so in demonstration part I will show you that how we can actually plot this graph. Let's draw the graph about the month-wise revenue using bar plot function. Okay. Now we are in the month of September. So if you want to calculate and draw the graph about the revenue from January to August and want to show it in the form of a graph, then bar plot is the most suited function to show the graph. Okay. So let's see. So this is the revenue bar chart using the bar plot function, which shows the month-wise revenue. Okay. So for this type of graph, this bar plot is the most suited plot function. Okay. Now, the next, moving on to the next type of plot, which is the or graph, which is the histogram. A histogram is a type of bar chart which shows the frequency of the number of values. The histogram is used for the distribution, where a bar chart is used for comparing different entities. And in the histogram, each bar represents the height of the number of values in the given range. Okay, so histogram we can say is a type of bar chart which shows the frequency of the number of values basically. Now for creating histogram, we have to use the hist function. So we can see that this is the syntax where hist function is there. And in hist functions, we are taking one vector which contains several values. Okay. So let's run the program. See, this is a histogram. Okay, where the weight versus frequency. That means you can see here, just compare with the graph and the value we have. Here you see that from 25 to 30, there is no component of the histogram. Okay, now here see that the value which we have taken, there is no value within the range of 25 to 30. So that's why this is white. This is blank, nothing is there. So no values is there within the range of 25 to 30. And another example I want to show that the values here from 0 to or 1 to 10, 0 to 10 is 2. That means two values are there within the range of 10. So we can see here 9 is a value within the range of 10 up to 10. 8 is a value. So two values are there. So it's showing 2. Similarly, 10 to 15, there are two values, 10 to 15, two values. What are the two values? 12 and 13. So how it's actually counting the number of frequencies. That means within the range of 0 to 10, how many values are there? Within the range of 10 to 20, how many values are there? Like that, actually, it draws the graph. So histogram actually shows the number of frequencies of the values. So in this way, it is quite useful. Okay. So these are the actually are basic graphics which help us in visualization, data visualization. Okay, so today we have covered the basic plot function, scatter plot, line plot, the bar plot function, then the histogram. I hope it will help you in data visualization of art. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.